Well, as you touched on, like selling a drink tablet to someone who's gone to get a carbonated beverage is a non-starter. Like that doesn't work. But if you're actually in the hydration set, there's people who think this category is already really competitive, and it's like, dude, this is early. We are really early in hydration powders and tablets. And this is like looking at Red Bull and being like, well, that's the energy category, you know. Oh, now there's Monster. Okay, Red Bull, Monster, that category is saturated. Ideally, we come and do demos and get sips to lips, and we love to do that. But actually, a lot of people will just see a new product on shelf and go, oh my God, I'm so sick of my existing daily hydration solution. Let me give this a try. We have a single serve pack as well, so you can try a tablet for under $2 and then come back and drop, $14.99 if you like it.
Hello, Startup CPG listeners. This is Grace, and I'm here with another founder feature. Today, I'm talking to Max Luthi, the co-founder of Plink. Plink makes fizzy electrolyte tablets in delicious fruit flavors that turn your daily hydration chore into a treat. You'll hear me in this episode say that I'm personally a fan, and my favorite flavor is their pineapple grapefruit, but they have a slew of delicious natural flavors that make the drink a delight to consume. We talk all about Plink's origin story, how they had to adjust their initial value proposition, and their exciting growth happening now as they launch into a slate of CVS stores. I hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, let me know what you think. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Startup CPG podcast. This is Grace, and I'm here with Max Luthi, the co-founder of Plink. Welcome to the show, Max.
Hello, nice to see you, Grace. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. I feel like Plink is all over our Startup CPG community and our, section at different expos, and we love Plink, and I'm actually drinking my Plink right now. For those who are watching, they can see me with my pineapple-flavored Plink drink.
Pineapple grapefruit.
Yes, that one's my favorite I think you sent me 2 flavors. I don't know if you have more. But anyway, I'd love for you to introduce Plink to our listeners.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Grace. Yeah, so I'm Max. I'm one of the co-founders of Plink. I'll just do a little live demonstration here. The world's greatest electrolyte drink. Tablet, I should clarify. It's fruity, it's fizzy, it's approachable, it's a big tent. We bring the joy to hydration, which can be very functional and very serious. And there's been this huge shift in behavior away from just sports hydration and then recovery hydration, where you're like a super hungover bridesmaid, to daily hydration. And so we're positioned for that. It has to taste great. It has to be the right electrolyte levels for daily hydration. And that's really working for us now. And just a quick note, you mentioned you feel like we've been all over the sort of startup CPG scene. I mean, we are so grateful for you guys. Like everybody listening, I've had almost every problem under the sun solved by somebody in the community. And you guys have been such a good platform for us. So very grateful.
Yeah, and we love to hear that, and I didn't pay him to say that, so it's a genuine endorsement. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about like how you guys came up with this idea and for those who are listening, Max showed that it is a tablet that you drop into water and then it fizzes and kind of just magically goes into make this delicious electrolyte drink. But I'd love to hear a little bit about like how you guys came up with that idea and why you went for, say, a tablet over what some of these other electrolyte drinks are, which are like, the shaken powder or things like that.
So great question. Yeah, I've been working in trend forecasting for about a decade. Not the kind of fashion, that Saturday Night Live skit where they're in black turtlenecks and they're like, this is in, this is out. It's not quite that. More looking at cross-category innovation across everything from automotive to food and beverage. And so, very passionate about innovative, progressive brands, and always wanted to start my own company and always wanted to start my own beverage company. And at the time, it was sort of the seltzer boom where LaCroix was everywhere. And I just remember looking into my recycling bin and seeing just the empty carcasses of LaCroix spilling over. And it was like, this is kind of mad. Like that, I'm so evolved I won't drink, bottled water out of a plastic bottle shipped from Fiji, but I am, cracking through cans of LaCroix like multiple times a day. So I had that pain point, like I want to start a beverage company, but without the waste. And I'm sure, in the middle of the night, inspired by companies like Lush in the beauty industry and Blue Land in home care, I just sat up in bed at like 2 a.m. and started WhatsApping a friend. It's a bath bomb you can drink called Plink, low carbon footprint, packed with wellness benefits, delivered by subscription, and went back to sleep. And remarkably, that friend, Nick, him and his business partner, Toby, instead of saying, don't text us at 2 a.m., they were like, you got to start this company and we'll help you do it. But I didn't for a long time.
Wow. So when did you decide to take that idea and you were ready to actually create Plink, even though it sounds like you sat on it for a minute?
I sat on it for a minute because I was aware, coming from the trend forecasting world, was really good at telling people what consumers wanted and what they should do with their business. And, PepsiCo, you should do this, and Spotify, you should do that. And then flying home and thinking I was like a genius. And I certainly wasn't. It turns out bringing something to market is much harder. Actually meeting consumers' needs is a lot easier than talking about it. So I think I knew I was just going to get my ass handed to me without the right partner, right? I'd never made something taste good. And so that was probably what was holding me back. And then when COVID really hammered my trend business around about that time, that friend I'd originally texted said, look, I found the perfect co-founder for you. And his name is Luke. He's a wonderful guy and he has the perfect background. So he's a great talker, but he wasn't a professional talker. He's a doer. He's a maker. He'd put on sustainable events all over the world. He'd, started a kombucha company with his wife. They'd started a contract manufacturing facility. He'd, won lots of awards and got into Whole Foods UK. So he's just the perfect complement to, if I was thinking about the product and the category and the vision, I needed someone to help bring it to life. And that's where Luke came in.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do hear from so many people who have co-founders how grateful they are to have found someone who can kind of complement their skills and versus weaknesses and have someone to balance them out and also to share the workload, because
I don't know how solo founders, if you're listening, I have no idea how you're doing it.
Yeah.
I lent on Luke a lot in the first few years. I think because he had a thicker skin from being in CPG, he knew that stuff went wrong. He knew that everything took longer, everything cost more. Whereas I was used to the sort of perfectionism of my former career. And so having somebody who has just been through some of the hurdles and just, you can kind of pick each other up when the other one's high and the other one's low is really helpful.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when you met Luke and you sort of decided to start working together and Luke was on board, it sounds like, what were some of your first steps when you decided to start creating Plink? And I know you've mentioned that sort of the electrolyte balance is different for daily hydration versus something that's like a morning hangover. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that development process.
Well, we kind of came at the hydration category backwards. We're almost like reluctant supplement founders. We're beverage guys and we're passionate about beverages, and we were trying to tackle the environmental waste of the beverage industry. And so we wanted something carbonated in tablet form. And Luke took on product development and very quickly was like, look, this exists. It's an effervescent tablet. And they've existed since the Victorian era. It's not a food tech play, which is probably a good thing for us because we got to lean more into Luke's strengths as a flavorist, and he'd done lots of flavor development in kombucha, and he took that experience from working with liquids and natural ingredients and experimenting in the kitchen to working with powders. One of the interesting things is because we were trying to create carbon dioxide, to do that, essentially you have the citric acid react with sodium bicarbonate and it creates CO2 when added to water. So then Luke is like, look, this creates electrolytes, positively charged salts. And this was somewhat accidental. And it's like, okay, wait, we've managed to make a really great tasting daily electrolyte drink, almost as an accident of the chemistry. And then we obviously have lent into that. So that was many, many years ago. And now it's very every like to the milligram. It's very considered what the formulation is. But yeah, we didn't mean to enter the hydration space. I mean, beyond being a liquid.
Right. Yeah, that's so funny. And now that you are in the hydration space, what has it been like to be in such a hot category, if you will? And how do you sort of approach that?
Once we realized we were in the hydration space, we had this vision for the category, and we were like, look, water enhancers, like products you add to your water and make a delicious drink, have also existed for 100 years. You have products like Kool-Aid, founded in 1927. And so we very quickly identified, like, there's the joy in products like Kool-Aid and the flavor and the emphasis on being a social drink and all the stuff that you associate with beverages is missing from the electrolyte space. Like, the top selling product is named after something you get in a hospital, right? And it's super scientific, or companies trademark loads of sort of sciencey gobbledygook to make it sound like they've invented something when really they're just selling salt and sugar in a packet. But we were like, well, look, why don't we focus on flavor and fun? And so it took a while almost for the category to catch up with that vision, which is a mix of our own missteps, but also just genuinely the category is now at a place where, as I mentioned, like after sports hydration, people started using these recovery products, and they sort of just suffered through like overly sweet or overly salty options. Most people, if you talk to even their power users, don't love the taste. And so it's really benefited us that we have come at it from a beverage perspective. And so, yeah, so it's great to be part of this category. I'm super grateful for the companies that have shown that this is $1 billion opportunity. And actually they've scaled so far that if you speak to like natural grocers, for example, they're almost delisting some of the major players, because it's like, once you can buy that product in Staples, it's not exactly like you know what I mean? Once it's in Staples, it's not necessarily right for your premium focused, natural grocer. So yeah, I don't know if I went on too long there, but
No, that's great. And I think it's really interesting. And it made me think, I was curious about, where do you guys aim for on shelf? And, I know you're in a bunch of retailers now in various states in the country. And so where do you sort of, shoot for Plink being on shelf, and how do you strategize around retail?
Yeah, I mean, that cost us some time. Like we, as I said, we're beverage guys with a supplement in sort of denial. And I think there's obviously overlap, and this is not unique to us. I'm sure there's many listeners who have different places in store they could go. And I think it's often a good sign, but it does make your life harder. So this is how crazy we were. Our first retailer to take us on was Healthy Living in Vermont. We're very grateful for them. That was our proof of concept. But we literally were put next to the Topo Chico and like the fancy seltzers, because that was what we were telling them we were going to replace. And so, I remember a couple of people just being like, you need to be next to Liquid IV or in HBC in this sort of wellness area. And it took us a really long time to start pitching to wellness buyers. Now, ironically, the wellness buyers and the water enhancer buyers or the beverage buyers are sharing this category. Like, we weren't crazy. There is this overlap that we first identified a few years ago. But yeah, so anytime like you have a healthy beverage and you're like, do we go near the modern sodas or do we go near the kombuchas, etc.? Like, I relate to that. And as I said, I think it's a sign that you're doing something different, but it does make your life harder.
Yeah. So was there a point where you guys kind of had to decide to start pitching towards the like supplement category?
I think, the buyers are pretty fantastic about this. I think they get it. Sort of depends on the store. It is typically the HBC or the whole body or the wellness buyer right now, but increasingly it's also the sort of more of a center store or even a sports nutrition buyer. So I think you just have to know the store you're talking to, know how they categorize the set, but also because we're trying to drive the category forward, we come in with a point of view, that's like, there's one major retailer who was like a bit dismissive of us and said, you'll never work in our stores because you have a beverage panel, not like a supplement fact panel right on the side of the pack. And that's become way more normalized in the category. So I think there's a lot of listening. Listen to the buyers and do your research and try and bring the most value to their store. Ultimately, you want it to work as well as possible for them.
We'll be right back. Hey, do you know about Mini Social? So it takes 7 touch points on average to convert a potential consumer. You can get started by meeting your consumers where they can see you every day on social. Our friends at Mini Social work with brands on micro-influencer amplification and UGC creation. You can get content that's fully licensed for use on your own marketing channels and watch creators post about your products to their audience. Mini Social has been around since 2018, partnering with over 1,000 CPG brands like Bonza, Outstanding Foods, Fly by Jing, Hydrant, Love Wellness, and many more. You can learn how it works by visiting cpg.minisocial.com and take a look at their case studies. Make sure to mention us at Startup CPG for a special discount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you guys sort of try to bring value to stores once you're in them, right? Like, how do you make sure that the customer knows what they're buying? Because it is a newer product, and most customers, when they're looking for either a carbonated beverage or a, electrolyte beverage, they're used to going for what they know. And so how do you introduce Plink to customers once you're in store?
Yeah. Well, as you touched on, like, selling a drink tablet to someone who's gone to get a carbonated beverage is a non-starter. Like that doesn't work. I can't believe we spent some time doing that. But if you're actually in the hydration set, there's people who think this category is already really competitive, and it's like, dude, this is early. We are really early in hydration powders and tablets, and this is like looking at Red Bull and being like, well, that's the energy category,
Right.
Oh, now there's Monster. Okay, Red Bull, Monster. That category is saturated. It's like there is a lot of room in this category. And so the reason there's a lot of room is people want alternatives. Like, if you put us on shelf in your store, yes, ideally we come and do demos and get sips to lips, and we love to do that. But actually, a lot of people will just see a new product on shelf and go, oh my God, I'm so sick of my existing daily hydration solution. Let me give this a try. And we have a single serve pack as well, so you can try a tablet for under $2.
Oh, cool.
And then come back and drop, $14.99 if you like it.
$14.99, that's actually a pretty low price, I think. Well, I don't know. You tell me, because I'm thinking of when I've gone to buy like electrolyte packets, and I've always been a little bit like, whoa, these are more expensive than I sort of thought they would be. I don't know why I would think they'd be lower, but yeah. Can you talk about the pricing?
Yeah, I mean, you're right to think these are more expensive than I would have thought they'd be. Like, it's those the stick companies are printing money. It's unbelievable. It's amazing that they've convinced people to pay as much as they'll pay for salt and sugar in a packet. It's actually incredible. But I suppose if you look at the bottled water category and what people will pay for H2O in, there's other examples of this. But yeah, I agree. I think, look, ours is a premium product. We've added magnesium. We work very hard on the flavors. We don't cut any corners. So we can't come way down in price, but we definitely like being at a sort of hesitation-free price. And I think because we represent the category maturing from like, I'm so hungover I can't see straight, to like, oh, actually I have one of these at 2 p.m. every day and I feel better. You need to be a bit more affordable, because like when you've got that crippling hangover, $3 to save you potentially from it is fine. But if you're having it every day, like $1.50, a serving roughly is more in line with what people are looking to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I would feel that way. I would feel more comfortable with that purchase than some of the other ones, because I've bought like big electrolyte things before on like literally, trips with friends and things like that. And I've been like, oh my God, I can't buy this again. This is so expensive. So $14.99 definitely makes a lot more sense. And I also heard you say you guys include magnesium, which I love, because I take magnesium when I like go to bed. Can you talk a little bit about like how you decided what to add to the tablets, and like also how you decided which flavors to go with for the consumers?
Yeah, so this sort of sodium potassium pump is like ideal for basically, if you're flagging lightly. Like we're in one serving tablet, if you've just done your CrossFit session, one Plink tablet's probably not the salt levels you need. So, but you can always drop 2 or 3, as Luke does. I think sometimes 4. Yeah, but it is formulated for daily use. So we got that ratio right and the volumes right per serving for just almost like a top up. And with the addition of magnesium, actually Luke just realized he was personally supplementing with magnesium and felt the benefits. So again, it's a low serving. It's not like it's not a magnesium supplement dose. It is just a light touch. And, from the reviews we get, we're doing some clinical studies now, but we also get just endless reviews from customers saying they feel better when they Plink. So I don't want to piss off the FDA by promising that, but we hear it all the time from people. They're like, I can't believe it. I Plink and I feel immediately just better energy, feel, ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I mean, sometimes I think too, it's well, you're drinking water and, water is pretty powerful.
Water helps. Yeah,
water helps.
I agree.
And then to have the extra things, that's only an added benefit. But I know, whenever I'm feeling tired, my partner will be like, did you have a glass of water? And I'm like, no, I haven't had a glass of water in hours. So we do that.
It does work. Water works, yeah. And no, absolutely. I've never had a problem drinking water. So it was funny for me having a product. I know there's water haters out there who literally can't handle water and they like our product, but that was never my thing. But I totally agree with you. And in terms of the flavor development, it's interesting. We have so many flavors in our sort of innovation closet or in the pipeline that we're really excited to release. We want to be a big tent product, that's sort of approachable to people of all ages. And, we're not going crazy niche with the flavors, but we want them to be natural. We want to use natural ingredients. So I would say we're almost building a similar flavor portfolio to a Spindrift product. We really admire that company. We love their products. And, I think that's kind of the goal, almost that healthy halo of just natural fruit driven flavor innovation,
Yeah. How did you decide to start with pineapple, grapefruit, and watermelon?
Pineapple grapefruit was Luke was trying to recreate one of his favorite beverages from the UK, which is I think it might be a Jamaican soft drink called Lilt, and but in a more natural way. And then with the watermelon, we actually spoke to the founder of Candy Kittens, Jamie Lang, who's actually running his 5th ultramarathon today for charity, or at least when we recorded this. Yeah. Really nice guy. And we spoke to him early on and he was like, if you're launching in America, you need to launch with a watermelon flavor. So yeah, that was it. And then my favorite is actually the pomegranate berry, just pomegranate and blackberry to be precise.
Oh,
that's my go-to.
Yeah.
That's what I just drank.
Yes, I do love pomegranate. That's so fun. Yeah, it makes sense too to have not just your typical lemon lime, but also have them still be pretty approachable, familiar flavors that everybody knows and loves and isn't like, oh, that's weird.
Exactly. I think the category, some of the existing players, they literally say try berry. They don't even name the berries. They're just
right.
These people will accept a try berry flavor. It will vaguely remember them of, Flintstone vitamins. Sorry, don't diss the competition. I do love, I like Element's flavor portfolio. I think they do a really cool job. I love, I think it's a habanero or a mango chili, and they've done chocolate for hot serving. So that there is there's some great innovation happening in the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I've tried I think I've tried the mango chili from Element, and enjoy that one.
What's cool about that product, what I like about them is it's with the phrase we have in the UK is it's a Marmite product. So we have this spread, and if people either love or hate Marmite, and I think Element's just so salty and so punchy that they have diehard fans, and I like that about them. We have a more approachable product. Probably less divisive, but that comes with challenges too. And I think one of the things that holds us back sometimes in the US is, it helps us, but it also holds us back, and I don't always know how to communicate it. So if any listeners want to ping me, we're much less sweet than traditional hydration products, and especially sports drinks and things like that. It's probably because we're European, but it tastes sweet to us, but we often get told people love it in store. If I'm doing demos and I mention not too sweet, you'll hear this sort of sneakers screech in like a natural grocery. They'll be like, not too sweet. But if you don't get that kind of warning ahead of time, especially someone like a teenager tries it, it's just not gonna, their palate has been nuked by enough products that it's not sweet enough.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm definitely I was the weird kid who didn't like soda when I was a child, which good for my health. But I used to hate all those sports drinks, or if I got sick and needed electrolytes, my mom would be like, you must drink this. And I'd be like, it's so gross. So I love the level of sweetness in Plink, but I can understand that some people might they're just used to something sweeter and just aren't prepared maybe for something to be a little bit less sweet, which even I still think it's sweet, but it's just not
it is
cloying.
Yeah, I think we're very happy, and I think our next flavor launch, which will be mango passion fruit, is I think without having really changed the sugar levels or anything, in terms of just the flavor profile, it will age down a little bit. It'll resonate more with people who want almost like a Snapple sweetness,
Yeah, right. Mango and passion fruit are kind of inherently sweet in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's that warmth to them. Whereas the reason I like the pomegranate berry is it's so dry and has this little tart tang. And anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so you're launching a new flavor, it sounds like, but I'm curious what else is sort of coming down the pipeline for Plink this year. And I know you guys were just at Expo, and so maybe there's some exciting conversations that came out of that, or what's sort of coming down these next few months for Plink?
It feels like Plink used to feel like, a bit of trying to build an airplane before it falls out of the sky. And then in the last 2 months, it has shifted to I think of the ludicrous speed scene in this old movie Spaceballs, where basically they go to light speed and everybody slams to the back of the ship. It's going really quickly right now, which is, just a culmination of a lot of hard work over the last few years and proving it out. And I think growing in wholesale took so much longer than I anticipated. But again, just my advice to anyone listening is you go to those shows. We went to Expo East, and then a buyer from Expo East didn't really buy until Expo West. And then, that was because we built a footprint in Vermont. And so then we opened up PCC in Seattle. And from there, you kind of gaining more and more people's trust. Felt like forever, but it really hasn't been that long. And now we have, as of probably a week before this airs, our first big drugstore launch going live. So 1,100 CVS locations.
Wow.
Which is massive.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're so grateful to the team, and Lauren and her team. They have this set called the Beacon Set, Healthy Consumables. It's, it's a just pretty unique set for CVS, but it makes a lot of sense for us. This category makes sense there, and they give us a really strong foundation with KeHE, and through that we're getting just more orders from natural grocers than we can keep up with at the moment, which is great. But it's wild. We used to sit on inventory, and now we're rushing out production runs and desperately trying to capitalize the demand. So it's exciting. It's intense. It's exciting. And also e-commerce clicked around about the same time. So it's maybe it would have been nice if one thing had taken off at once, but I'm not complaining.
We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to announce that Startup CPG finally has an official Amazon agency partner. I know a lot of you are looking to Amazon as a great growth channel for this year and beyond, and Daybreak is the best agency that I've come across that will work with emerging brands. They have a really affordable retainer structure. It's a lot less than you'll find with other agencies that might charge you upwards of $5,000 a month, which is crazy. Based on recommendations from this community, I actually worked with Leon for my own brand and had an amazing experience. The sales grew very quickly. We started ranking really high on organic search results and really just capturing search terms in the category. I think he is an amazing fit for brands in this community, and I highly recommend reaching out to him for a chat. You can reach out to him at leon@daybreak.agency. That's Leon at Daybreak, DAYBREAK.agency. Make sure you mention us at Startup CPG so that you can get $600 of free design credits if you end up working with them. Good luck. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, that's so exciting and definitely makes a lot of sense for you guys to be in CVS. I've definitely purchased some electrolytes from CVS before. I'm curious how you are managing this sort of now, like keeping up with demand as you are gaining more traction.
I mean, when at the time of recording, if you go onto our website, like our top seller is sold out, and that's not actually sold out. It's to do with how it's packed in the warehouse. Like there's been some operational bumps in accelerating. We're really grateful to our ops partner CV, who's helping with kind of demand planning and inventory forecasting, and it's tough. It's really hard to be a brand that doesn't buy too much stock or too little. It's really hard to get the sweet spot. And so I think we will grow into that. And we're going to continually improve our operations. But that was intense. And, it's exciting. But yeah, it's so funny. Just the difference between a few months ago where literally in like November of last year, Luke and I were like, I cannot believe how much time and effort we've put into going to these shows, meeting these retailers, etc. Like, why is no revenue coming in? And now it's like, oh my God, the revenue's coming in, but we're going to run out of stock. So there was very little like in between phase.
That's so funny. How are you guys, or I guess my question is, what do you have any sense of like what made the online take off now? Or does it feel kind of random?
We just worked on it. Like I was like, we worked on it, but I didn't work on it for a while because we launched with the wrong value proposition. Like we were trying to make the Impossible Burger of drinks in tablet form. It was like,
sure.
It's not why people buy beverages. Even if they answer on a survey, they care about sustainability. Doesn't really work as a key purchase driver. So because the value prop was wrong and a few things with the site were making the user experience a little clunky, I just hadn't dedicated the bandwidth to that. And as wholesale started to pick up momentum, we had this fantastic GNC opportunity thanks to Startup CPG. It was like, okay, this is clicking everywhere else. I need to dedicate some time to improving the e-com experience. And it didn't take a ton. I mean, genuinely, hilariously, we had a custom checkout cart, and switching that to one of these apps that has like add-ons and just makes it a bit more seamless, immediately like basically doubled our conversion rate.
Really?
And so conversion rate is no joke. And I know you can read a gazillion blogs saying that, but genuinely, if you're trying to get your CPA down and you're sending people to your website and you're losing 99 out of 100 of them, it's not going to work. So there was the website side of it. And then also we shot a few different ads and we tried some influencer like content and all the rest of it. But we wrote and shot this like almost Dollar Shave Club like ad where it's the two of us jumping out of a lake. It's eye catching. It's funny. It's very honest about why we started it. We tell the full story. Two dads looking to hydrate their families without the waste of cans and bottles. And we managed to tell the sustainable story, but also really hammer home the benefits of daily hydration in like this pretty compelling way, it turns out. And so that ad is performing really well for us. And we get all these comments saying like, I love this ad, like going to give it a try. And so, yeah, founder-driven ads, they can work really well.
Yeah, totally. And is this an ad that you've just put out like via social media?
Yeah, it's like predominantly running on Instagram, but it's also across Meta and increasingly testing it in other channels as well. But we were not like, we had a beautiful website and beautiful brand and all the rest of it, but neither of us came from the e-com space. Neither of us was like drop shipping something on Amazon from our dorm room. So we were a little slow to click into gear, but we have the original pitch to our investors and ourselves was like, this product is, you can fit 6 of these in an envelope. It's like 6 tablets is the size of a postcard. So it's very internet friendly. So it's pretty wild. It's in like, the end of year 2 that we fixed the internet.
Well, as you were saying at the beginning of the calls, everything takes longer than you think it's going to take when you're in CPG and running a business because you've got a million things to do. So there's only so much you can prioritize at any one given time. A question I always like to ask, and you've sort of alluded to some of the challenges, but is there one challenge that has felt the largest or one of the biggest challenges you've had to face as you've run Plink over these last few years? And how did you kind of work to overcome it? Or how are you still trying to overcome it?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge was probably just not getting the value proposition quite right, and I think we have some wonderful partners at a design agency called Made Thought, and, our friends Nick and Toby and these great advisors and like lots of really smart, passionate people working really hard on, I'm speaking about the other people, not myself. But working really hard on this issue that we all rallied around, like disrupting the beverage aisle. And it is just a bit too much of a lift, like for people to change their behavior. And then, so that really, really held us up. Like, if you think about everything you've invested into product labeling and your channel strategy and your go-to-market and everything, embracing this third wave of the hydration category was the big turnaround for us. So
yeah,
I think
totally.
we started talking about it. Like, I think a lot of people listening, probably with their own businesses, probably know that their like launch thesis is off, and they can kind of see where they should be playing. And it's hard to, as they say, kill your darlings. You're worried almost like, if we change our messaging, will we annoy our like 400 Instagram followers? And it's like, dude, they don't mind. Keep changing it until it clicks.
Right. They don't mind, and they probably barely notice.
They don't notice. Yeah, they do not wake up at 4 a.m. worrying about your business like you do.
I don't know. Maybe there's some really crazy fan out there that thinks about Plink every night. Who's to say?
There is actually, yeah, for sure. They email me regularly, but I'm grateful for them.
Yeah, we love that. That's so sweet. Well, you've definitely given some nuggets of advice, but I also always like to ask, what's one piece of advice you wish you'd known when you were in the early days of starting out, or even like throughout these last few years that you've learned, that you wish someone had told you?
I think there is, all of it overlaps with some of that getting the value prop wrong at launch. But I think, so, your reason to start the company, like our reason to start Plink, is not necessarily the reason people will end up drinking it. So that's one thing. And then I think the other thing that's really interesting, I touched on this a little bit with sitting across categories. Like, we thought being innovative and disruptive and all the rest of it, like there was almost a smugness to it where we could win a pitch contest and we could kind of like sound really smart, like we've figured out what everybody in the world is doing wrong. It's not necessarily a good way to build a business. Like, actually, if your product is too different, and your ritual falls too far out of line of what they're doing, you can make life really hard for yourself. And so I think it's worth, founders not necessarily, and I don't think this applies to everyone, but part of my DNA is like, I want to do everything differently. And I think that's not always a good plan. Like, there's a lot of smart entrepreneurs out there doing things a certain way, or labeling packages a certain way, or putting their product in a certain category because it makes sense. So different is good, but if your whole thing is like, we're radically different, you could be in for a slow start.
Right. It could be a bumpier road, or it's not as quite as seamless to get into that category.
And it would be, I suppose, heartbreaking advice for me to give entrepreneurs trying to do something radically different to just like fall in line and be sheep. But so I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying different for its own sake isn't always a winner.
Yes. No, I think that's a really good thing to think about, and important, and maybe not always the advice you're hearing, which is like, stand out, be unique. And you have to be really clear on why you're doing something different, and like make sure that it's really important to both the product and the customer.
Yeah, it has to be. It is really interesting. I mean, because again, we are unique in our category. Like we thought we were scared of the word hydration and all the rest of it. Like, but in our category, like buyers look at us now and it is innovative. We've like toned it down and found a category and all the rest of it, but it's just not. It's like just innovative enough.
Yeah, totally. I love it. Well, my last question that I always like to ask is just how can members of the Startup CPG community and our listeners support Plink, learn more about Plink, buy Plink, etc.?
I suppose, first of all, I feel like if anything, I should be offering to help the community. So you guys, the community's already been so helpful for us. But yeah, if you ever see it on shelf, give it a try, pick it up, or buy every single pack on shelf. And second of all, if you want to fund the next few inventory runs, reach out. We have a lot of demand. We need to make a whole bunch of tablets. And so if anyone wants to just, be a tablet investor, that's always otherwise just reach out. If you ever want advice or you have feedback on our product, we're pretty open. You can reach us. Instagram DMs is one approach, or LinkedIn, or Max and Luke at drinkplink.com. That's an email we share.
Awesome.
I check it. So
well, you gotta delegate in the co-founder relationship, but that's awesome. Well, everyone should go buy Plink, check out Plink. Like I said, my favorite is personally the pineapple, but everybody's there's a bunch of different flavors, so you can try which one is right for you. But it's so much fun chatting with you, Max, and learning all about Drink Plink.
Thanks so much. And I want to give a shout out to all the retailers who've taken a chance on us already. And, it means a lot to us, and has given us the lifeline to keep building until this business makes as much sense as it does.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, it would help us out so much if you left a 5-star review on ratethispodcast.com/startupcpg. I am Grace Kennedy, the host of the Founder Feature Series, so feel free to add me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on Slack. I'm always on the hunt for new and exciting brands to feature. And if you're a potential sponsor who would like to appear on the podcast, please email partnerships@startupcpg.com. And finally, as a reminder for anyone listening, if you haven't already, we would love for you to join our community on Slack. You can sign up via our website, startupcpg.com.